Okay, hey violins, welcome to part 2 of our video lessons over classic Sinfonia. Last 2 weeks we covered everything basically from the beginning all the way up to our first repeat sign that takes it back to the beginning again. So we've covered all of this. Right now we're going to be starting here at measure 21, and we're going to be looking at measures 21 all the way up to the end of the second line here, 28. First thing you'll notice is we've got a new word here we haven't seen in our music before, but it's going to sound real similar to one we already know, legato. Now that should be kind of triggering something in our heads. Remember when we talked about earlier in the year staccato, which meant like short, separated notes with space? Legato was going to be the exact opposite. Legato means smooth and connected, not like slurred. Like we're still separating the bowings down and up between the notes, but the notes should be touching each other as much as possible with as little space. Like it should be very, very smooth back and forth. So we just have a bunch of quarter notes, mezzo piano, so very soft, very smooth and connected. Just playing this E over and over, 1, 2, 3, 4, trying to bring every single note together as close as possible. So we have four measures of just 4 quarter notes of E, so make sure we're counting carefully. Here on the next line, make sure we kind of got to be ready for this because, we got to like jump and adjust, change to G here. The next line right here, C. Remember, is this going to be high 2 or is this going to be low 2? Think about that for a second. Remember our key signature. We only have one sharp. It's F sharp, and this is C, so it's going to be C natural, low 2, right? So we're playing C naturals here, followed by 2 open A half notes. Now again, don't forget that this whole entire section, until it tells us otherwise, is going to be legato. So everything you play from here all the way up until this repeat sign, make sure it's as smooth and connected as possible. Let's practice this together slowly. Measure 21 all the way to 28. Okay, so the beginning of that was easy enough. It was really the only thing new for us was just making sure we were playing in that new style. Hopefully that didn't give you too much trouble. But we're gonna move on to measure 29, or really measure 30 actually, because it's a whole rest here. So we're resting for 4 counts. That part's easy. Here's a little tricky. We have a G going to an E, and there's certain ways we have to do this. I know some of us still don't really like using fourth finger for certain notes. This is an instance where it's not just because it says so, it's because it's impossible to do this without fourth finger, because we have to slur from G to E. Now, if we tried doing that from third finger G to our open E string, we have a problem here. We have our A string in between there, and there's no way we can take our bow and slur from G to E without accidentally bumping A on the way, which is why we have to. That was my shoulder rest falling off. We have to use third finger G to pinky E. All right, just practice that a few times, playing from G to the E. Luckily, the music here is nice to us because it gives us 2 whole measures of rest to get our hands set up to play this. We don't have to, kind of do it just all of a sudden without any warning. We have time to prepare. So take your time, get your third finger G set up, fourth finger E, and just play those notes. G, E, E, and then we have a rest. And here's where it's kind of weird. We kind of have to, or we might have to do a reverse reset, because these 2 notes are a down bow, which means this is an up bow, and then we have another up bow here. So we might have to take our bow off the string just a little bit and prepare it back at the tip again for another up bow. Yeah, and you might as well keep playing that fourth finger E because we've already had it set. Nothing's moving here. So go ahead and keep playing fourth finger E on this guy right here. E, E, D, C natural. Don't forget low 2. C natural, B, A, C. And that will land us right on here on D on this measure. So just like we did before, let's practice this real slowly. If you need to on your own, just, to practice this second measure here, just isolating it by itself just a few times, just G, E, E, and then repeat it, G, E, E, until you're comfortable, like with that slur to the fourth finger. Do that a few times, and then practice these two measures. But if you feel up to it, let's work on these three measures together. All right, 33, measure 33, where we are now here on the second page. This is where our music really starts to pick up and gets a little tricky, and it's going to take some practice. That's okay. I mean, it'll be worth it once you've learned it, I promise. So we're at measure 33. We've got some, the first bit's not too bad. D, rest, F sharp, rest. No trouble at all there. Make sure we rest again on beat 1. Count carefully. We've got 2 quarter rests here. Make sure we're resting on 4, 1, play on 2. Again, you can see we've gotten to the point where we know when we're supposed to reset. We've got a down bow here. This is also a down bow. So, just make sure we're resetting where we need to, just looking ahead and being prepared. If you want to write it in your music just to remind yourself, that's totally fine too. This is your music to write whatever you want in to help you out, right? So second measure here, G, A, B, G. Look at that rhythm carefully. You have rest, 2, and 3, 4, right? Rest, 2, and 3, 4, rest. G, A, B, G. Then we rest again on beat 1 of this third measure here. And we come in on an A, more eighth notes here. A, B, C natural, A, rest, 2, and 3, 4. So it's the same rhythm, we're just playing higher notes. And again, just to remind you, because I'm going to remind us a whole bunch, C natural, that's low 2. Earlier in the measure, earlier in this line, rather, we had an F sharp. Remember, that's high 2 because we have our F sharp in the key signature. So high 2 here, low 2 here. We've got to make sure we're able to do both in the same piece of music. So far we've had 1, rest, F sharp, rest, 1, G, A, B, G, rest, A, B, C, natural, A. And this whole time we were playing these last two measures, we should be doing a crescendo. Because if we look back at our dynamic here when we were playing earlier, mezzo piano, we're still mezzo piano here. So we should be getting louder and louder and louder until we hit measure 36, and we're like full on forte. Now 36, here's where the music really starts getting kind of crazy. Just for this measure right here. We have a D major scale like we do every day in class as a warm-up, except it's in eighth notes, and there's one other thing that's different. D, first note, E, F sharp, G, easy enough. That's just open D, D, E, F sharp, G, followed by open A, B, C, natural, low 2, landing on D, and then B on B1. So on the D string, that's going to be high 2. On the A string, it's going to be low 2. So we got to make sure we're ready for mixing high 2 and low 2 quickly back to back in the same measure. All right. Well, let's try this slowly. You can try playing it with me. If I'm still playing it too fast, don't forget YouTube has that function where you can slow the video down and play with me. You just click on the little cog setting wheel at the bottom and you select like 0.75 or 0.5. But let's try measures 33 through 36 to get. right, believe it or not, if you've made it that far, that's pretty much the hardest part of the song, was that bit right there. We'll have to do that one more time here coming up. Measure 37, we just have B, D, rest, rest, B, D, rest, rest. Those are the easy two measures. Quarter, quarter, rest, rest, quarter, quarter, rest, rest. We can handle that just fine. Here we go. Now measure 39. Am I counting right? 37, 38, 39? I can count. Wonderful. Measure 39. We kind of have a similar thing we had back at 36, except what note are we starting on? It is not D. It is actually E, right? It's kind of the same scale, just starting and stopping in a different spot. Starting on open E, F sharp. Again, remember our key signature, F sharp, G, A, B, C natural, low 2, D, pinky E. That's just to keep it all on the same string, so you don't have to just do like a string crossing for one note and then come back down to the D. So I would just try practicing like this measure by itself, like just doing it pizzicato. Right, it's kind of a minor sounding scale. This is actually an E minor scale is what's happening here. A, B, C, D, E. Then try it with your bow. And then we have this last measure here, which I promise is actually a lot easier than it looks. So we have a bunch of eighth notes, and they kind of just seem like up and down all over the place. But let's look at this real quick. Let's look at the first four. Beat 1 is D. Just third finger D. Nothing weird there. We're going to play D on beat 1, followed by 3 eighth notes and 2 and on open A. D, A. Easy enough. Then here on beat 3 of the measure, we have F sharp, followed by 3 more A's. F sharp, A. So putting that together, so it's mostly just playing open A. You're just looking for beats 1 and 3, and it's actually really easy to feel because 1 and 3 are the strongest beats in a measure in 4/4. Those are the ones like that just pop out the most. D, A, F sharp, A. Easy enough. Try a pizzicato a few times. Move on to arco. And once you're feeling more confident with this, let's try this together. All right, that's going to cover part 2 of our classic Sinfonia lesson. If you can't see it in your parts, I'll just note out this one last little thing for whenever you're practicing putting all this together. You do have a repeat that's kind of cut out that goes back to 21. So basically just like what the start of this lesson was, and you play all of this again. So recapping what we've done from the beginning, we played all of this all the way to the repeat, came back here, played it again, then we played 21 all the way here to 40, and then repeat back to 21. So it's kind of like a big chunk repeat, and that's really all we've learned so far. Don't forget, if any of this is still giving you trouble, slow the video down. YouTube has that function where you can slow it down and practice it more slowly. Remember, you've got all the time in the world. We don't have a concert coming up, but still want to make sure we're pushing ourselves and continuing to practice and trying to learn, so whenever we come back next year, we're good to go, and we can have good first concert for Taco Supper. All right, if you have any questions, you can always leave a comment or email me, whatever you want to do. And good luck. I'll see you guys when I see you.